if you think that people that are out there past darkness or at the later hours aren't as good of an athlete, you're going to have your bad day too. We've all had bad days, and we're all due for a bad day at some point. And you just look at and you see like the faces on these family members that are they're just sitting there and like thinking, God, I hope they make it. Like, because you can't fathom and think, well, what if they don't?
Happy Thursday, Coach.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's happening, man?
Not much, man. Crushing Iron Podcast, episode 264, every Monday and Thursday. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be here. You still got a little Ironman Texas on your brain, I think.
I do still have a little bit of Ironman Texas on the brain. One of the cooler experiences I've probably ever had as a coach. But do want to first off give a big shout out to all the good feedback that we had from Monday's podcast and a review about Texas. I stand by my 4.5 out of 5 stars. Again, spectacular race, great experience. Really, really enjoyed watching it, and great hospitality from that city. If you like what we do, or it's your first time listening, head over to iTunes and subscribe. It's a huge way to help us out. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think. Dig back through the archives if it's your first, second, third, fourth, whatever. We have 260 plus episodes for you to dig through, carrying a variety of topics from specific triathlon related, obviously with this being the podcast, and then obviously a little bit different from a lot of other triathlon quote unquote podcasts is we do talk about life and how it integrates with training and its effect on each other and the relationship that we all have with specific things in our life and in training, and we just like to share our experiences and hopefully help you out in that area.
Yep.
And then
we're all about the stories, the lifestyle, and bringing happy and healthy into your life and training for this sport that we all love.
Yeah, and we do offer a wide variety of opportunities, and within our community, you can always go to Facebook, search Crushing Iron Group to be part of a very cool conversation with a lot of cool people in there, lots of experience and wisdom. You can ask whatever you want and feel safe doing it. That's why it's so awesome. Just so many awesome people in there. And then everything else you do, you can find on crushingiron.com, from coaching and training packages to triathlon and swim camps, swim analysis, blog, gear, information on our club, and so many other things that we like to offer and provide to everyone. So head over there, check it out, let us know your thoughts. And but yeah, very interesting, very cool experience as a coach. Again, I was down at Ironman Texas this last Saturday, and we had five athletes on the team competing, 4 in the club. All ended up finishing. Very tough day, and again, huge congrats to everyone who endured and put out the effort, because it was a tough day. I saw a lot of people being wheeled off and taken to the med tent post race with dehydration and overheating and super swollen hands. And just it's just a tough day. So again, just give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah, wait, let me just say, I was watching the end of that, and every time you kind of turn on the Facebook live feed and watch the finish line of an Ironman, it just brings back all these emotions for me, and it just kind of puts me right there. And if you've never been to an Ironman finish or finished an Ironman, it's one of those things where I wish people would do and just check out, because earlier that morning I was at the Country Music Marathon, and the differences between the finish lines could not be more vast. It was sort of like you finish this half or full marathon and you kind of roll around this corner and the finish line's right there, and it's not much time to even think about. And then you just sort of get swallowed up by a sea of 20,000 other runners, and there's just no, I don't know, the energy about the whole thing. And, of course we're going to get into this story, and there was some pretty good drama involved with one of the finishes we're going to talk about. And I don't know, it's night and day for me. I just, if you've always been a runner and you haven't done a triathlon and you're somehow listening to this podcast, I think, just give it a shot. And again, it's sort of, even if you're in triathlon and you've been doing sprints and oldies and stuff like that, I highly recommend to go see a full Ironman. Stick around to the end and just check out the energy and the support and love and just the whole emotion of the finish line, because it is, frankly, one of the coolest things that you can do.
It's like this melting pot of a jabillion emotions. It is. It's that you can't help but get chills. Just with the things that you see, and like I went through all these waves of emotions the day two of like, man, I want to race. I'd be okay racing. I definitely don't want to do this race. Then you get to the finish line, and you're like, I'm totally doing this.
Yeah.
But it's just so many emotions. But like, as a father and as a husband, like standing like I don't like standing at the finish line. I like standing like after it. I just think watching people run across is kind of overrated. But it's just too much stuff going on. But I like to place myself like 20, 25 meters beyond where people finish. They get to gather themselves. You can actually talk to them, and that's where you can really see like so many more emotions coming alive. But it was just very cool. Like it made me want to do one again, just because you got to see all these parents like greeting their spouses and their kids. Like just to hear like, oh, great job, Dad, great job, Mom. Just what a great example these parents are setting for their kids, and having their kids there to watch. And it is. I totally agree with you. It's a great point to go and watch, because you see people from every age and male and female and married and not married, kids or no kids, different shapes and sizes, different athletic abilities. Like to just see everybody come together, and it takes a village. Mm-hmm. And nobody does this alone. You might be out there alone for a lot of the day, but you don't get there alone. You got family, friends, co-workers, loved one. I mean, it's just, it takes a village, and to kind of see everyone kind of celebrate with you, and it's like you all finish. It's like a we did it kind of thing.
Yeah, and everyone's there for so long, and it's a long, long day. It's just sort of that hard work. It's like doing a project or something, and the beginning is kind of like you're struggling or whatever, and then you get to a point where things are home, and then everybody's like, oh man, like, can't we just quit this damn thing, whatever, and then you kind of persevere, get through it, and everybody's been there all day, and there's no better feeling when you wrap that whole thing up. And there's something about, and we talk about it, but coming down that runway, the finisher chute, the red carpet experience, it's sort of like this culmination of like crazy emotions. It is metaphorically like this lifetime of a day that just comes to this unbelievable conclusion. You may have like just struggled and had the worst kind of experience for 15 hours, but then once you get there, it just sort of like washes away, and it's like, oh, I get it now. I get it why I've worked so hard.
Yep.
I understand what this was all about. It crystallizes in that moment when you cross the finish line, and you just can't explain it until you do it. And that, that's like many things in life, obviously, but that one to me is like, why do you do this? Well,
yep.
It's just sort of something that's innate to people that actually go through it, and even spectators. I say that because you sit there and watch this whole thing, and you see the emotions like right there. You're right on the sidelines, and I don't know.
There's like this transitional period of the 100 meters leading up to the finishing chute where you get your name called. Those 100 meters are I did it. And then as soon as you walk under the arch and you hear your name, it's we did it. Because you go through it like just yourself, and then you go through and you see all your family friends are yelling and screaming, and they're like, I can't believe it, like, and they're all just like totally like, parents watching their kids, and then those kids seeing their kids there, and just it is. There's really no feeling like it. It's definitely two different energies and vibes. One, at the finish line, it's like cheering and just very, very, very high energy and go, go, go. And then beyond it, it's just like very that's why I like it. It's more intimate. You hear conversations. You can watch people. It is. It's super. It's just a very, very cool experience. Like you said, we can talk about it all we want to, but it doesn't even come close to like scratching the surface.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just different. I mean, I remember when I started out running and I did that marathon, it was such a huge deal for me. And now when I go down there, it's kind of like, it just sort of like kicks off, you kind of run around a little bit and then it's over, and there's no kind of like, I don't know, I just feel like you don't put a ribbon on it or something like that. It's just sort of like, yeah, okay, now what? Go do something else today.
Yep.
But it's just fresh in my mind because the two contrasts of that day for me were pretty stark. So you're on the scene, and I'm sitting there going, man, because that's the other thing about it. There's something really freeing or whatever. You're out there watching the race. It's kind of what you're doing. You have a responsibility of sorts, but it's kind of a little bit of a vacation, but it's a hard-working vacation. And I'm sort of jealous when I'm seeing all the pictures you're sending up. And
I would say it's more of a work trip.
For sure.
Than vacation, but it is. But it's just.
But you know what I mean?
It's
sort of like that. You're relaxed but
you get out of town.
Yeah.
You're definitely not relaxed. You're definitely stressed. But yeah, it is. I definitely see what you're saying. It's a new place, a new experience, a new venue. You're out of town, so it kind of has that feel. And like I said, we had a team dinner Thursday night at the Scandridge's house. It was great. Most of the athletes came. I made contact with all the other ones at the expo, and I was really gearing up for a great day. You worked with 4 athletes in the club, and we had some first-time finishers there that hadn't finished some other ones, and then I worked specifically with 5 athletes, and we had 2 first-timers and 3 returners. Which I mean, we had a great day. I mean, it was a really super. This is just kind of a microcosm of coaching too. Is like it was a really cool and special weekend overall as a coach. Like just we had a ton of just incredible performances, from age group wins to age group podiums and half marathons and half marathon PRs and sprint distance PRs, and they had 3 athletes, even though like the conditions were super tough at Texas, had 3 athletes PR that were there, and then 2 of the first timers, they both finished. It was a really cool weekend overall, and just reminds me how grateful I am to have this opportunity. But among those is this one that I honestly don't know if I'll ever have again, which makes it kind of cool. But again, it was a super hot day, and had an athlete that was having a rough day. She had originally signed up for Ironman Florida and had a great build up for that, and then when they changed it last minute, the new logistics were just, and the different date made things just too difficult. So she ended up deferring to Texas, which meant long trainer rides over the course of the winter where there wasn't much reprieve to get outside. And then I know that race morning, we can laugh about it now, but she left like half her bike nutrition in her room and didn't bring it down there with her. Didn't realize it until she was getting stuff ready on her bike. But anyway, was having a long day, and I remember we saw her coming off the bike. She was super happy. Saw her coming out of the swim, super happy. But there's these 2 different, like we kind of talked about in the finish line. There's these 2 different vibes that you have. Like you get this it's all about me vibe, and then it's intimate with your family and friends and supporters, and the race course itself, especially the run course, obviously goes through that same transition of, as the sun sets, you go from athletes and spectators alike that are looking for athletes to cheer on and support, and they're going to finish, and then as the sun sets, it turns. And
that's a really good point.
And it comes to, not like I hope they're going to finish, because again, like let's be honest, like we've all had our first time racing, and a lot of us it's been in the darkness, and it might always be in the darkness, and so when the sun sets, especially this time of year when it's a lot later at 8 something, you see the vibes change in the athletes that are on the course still, and you see the vibe change in the people that are spectating. Their families and friends and loved ones, and you can just tell that like their sense of urgency and anxiety is just lifted because they have so much emotionally invested in this too. Like you were talking about, like you've been out there spectating all day, but you also know how much it means to these people and these athletes, that you may not even know, but they're out there and they're doing the best. And again, that's all you can ask for. Like if you think that people that are out there past darkness or at the later hours aren't as good of an athlete, you're going to have your bad day too. We've all had bad days, and we're all due for a bad day at some point. And you just look at and you see like the faces on these family members that they're just sitting there and like thinking, God, I hope they make it. Like, because you can't fathom and think, well, what if they don't? And I was out there spectating late, like till 9 or 9:30, which is already, I had to find a coffee because that's like way past my bedtime. But I was with Lacey and Summer. We were spectating, and we had an athlete who I thought was going to be close, to making the cutoff, who was just having a rough day. And as a coach, I think there's a lot of things you take into account. And first off, like I say, there's nothing more fun than being a coach and getting to be on site watching your athletes compete, and being there, and then knowing their life stories too is so helpful. And I found it incredibly helpful knowing this athlete's particular story and what their personality was, and which helped me make decisions on the road. But anyway, so it got to be 9:30, 10, 10:30, and I legitimately thought, I don't know if obviously we can't do anything physically, but I was like, I'm worried. I'm scared she's not going to finish. Not for me, because I could care less, but I want every athlete to have that feeling, that they deserve and they earn, whether it's a good day or a bad day. But this is where I also think it's just so vital and so important as a coach to know the type of personality your athlete has. Are they somebody who retreats within themselves and who grinds it out and who thinks like they always have to do things alone, and what they've gone through in life? Because we're athletes, but our athletic self is like 10% of who we are. And the rest of it is who we are as a person, and the things we've gone through in life, and the things we've persevered, and how life is like now, and what's happened with us recently. And you think about all those things as a coach, and that just like compounds what your thoughts and your feelings and emotions are on race day when you see these athletes, because you just don't see a time and an accomplishment or a goal or a standard. You think like you can see like this really quick like flashback of like how their last 6 to 8 months have gone, and then everything you know about their life and how it culminates, and how this moment and this experience and this race can impact them in a positive way. And that's all you want as a coach. And so I remember thinking, all right, because the other tricky part about this race and this rolling start thing, as much as they did a great job of it and they did execute it fantastically, was that midnight was not the cutoff for many athletes, because like I said on Monday's podcast, most athletes were in the water by 7:05 at the latest. So their 17-hour cutoff to be, however you want to say it, like, you're a legit finisher if you made it in 17 hours or you made it by midnight. There's always going to be kind of that argument, I think, from some athletes who want to nitpick about, let's say you went in the water at 6:58, but you thought it was a midnight cutoff and you made it by midnight, but it was 17:02. Like, are you a quote unquote Ironman? Like, can you say you finished, or is it going to be a DNF? And so it's kind of tricky. Your mind says, all right, midnight. Oh, wait a minute. That's not when they started. So you have to look at the Ironman app and think, all right, well, what does the clock say on that? I think it was probably like a 7 to 8 minute difference. So anyway, we just decided as a group, let's just go find her. Let's just go and see how she's doing and see how she's holding up. And we start walking. And again, it's a super spectator friendly course, and again, the great thing and the positive and the negative about the Ironman tracker is it does so great that you end up depending on it, only for it to fail you at some times when you need it. It's like, weathermen. It's like you believe them to be accurate, and then they're not, and then you're like, no, I'm screwed. But so we just head off into now listen, as spectator friendly as this race is, no race is spectator friendly from 10 p.m. to midnight.
No, especially, yeah.
The only people out there are people waiting for people that they love.
Mm-hmm.
And which again is a whole different vibe.
Yeah, that is incredible difference.
It's a whole, and I would just encourage anybody to go out there and cheer people on during that point, not at the finish line, but to get to the finish line. So we set off and we walk a mile, 2 miles, and through these 2 miles we stop. We're like, let's just wait here we'll see her in a minute. And then we kind of get antsy and like, let's just go. And then we make it to the next stop. And then let's wait. And we went by Hippie Hollow, which is this really cool little corner. They like have all this funky music and they're dressed like hippies. And we stop there and we're like, all right, let's just keep going. So finally we stand there and I'm just thinking, I'm getting super anxious. I'm like, you know what? We're not doing this today.
Because let's explain, it was getting tight.
Tight is like a loose statement.
I'm looking at it going, oh yeah, this is high drama.
Everybody was texting me. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I just know we got to do our best to do the best we can to help. And so we just take off walking. We're like, we're just going to walk until we find her. And at that point, I didn't even know if because now listen, I think it's important to say that that my thought process as a coach is always somewhat different than that of an athlete, and they've got you don't know what they're going to be thinking when you meet them and when you see them, and so it's a very difficult time. They've been doing this for 16 plus hours, and you just don't know what you just got to be careful. Mm-hmm. It's like talking to your wife when she's hungry. Just tread lightly. And we just keep walking, and in the distance, Summer's like, I think that's her. And I was like, I don't know if that's her or not. And we finally find her, and I remember looked at my watch, and I'm thinking, on one end, oh my God, we're going to cut it close. Or B, man, it's going to suck if we ramp this up and raise the level of hope and then miss it by a minute. Mm-hmm. And again, that's me. That's my thinking.
Right.
But it was just, and I told her this, and I told you this off the air before we started, it was just that moment, again, looking back, and it was such a microcosm of life. In that we often are just left out to walk alone in the darkness, to fend for ourselves and do things alone with no one else around. And sometimes you just need people to come find you, pick you up, and help you find your way. And so many times, off the training course and just in life, we retreat within ourselves, and we're left to kind of just fend for ourselves with no one to talk to and no one to support because no one's around and everybody else has their own things going on. And we just have to do it on our own. And the thing is I knew this about this athlete, that they were always and she even told me this as we were texting back and forth yesterday, is I'm just used and accustomed to doing things by myself. Not accepting help, but I'll just do it on my own. And she even told me, she was very open and honest about I didn't have very lofty goals. I just wanted to finish by midnight, even if it meant that I didn't officially finish. Then at least I didn't get pulled off the course, and that was my only goal. And as a coach, that doesn't bother me, but I think what moved me to go get her was that, to me, that was unacceptable. Not for her, but because I think we all have our different mentalities and our different goals, and we see ourselves differently. But I think as you talk to people and you open up to people and you share stories, they see you in a light they see you in the light that you should see yourself, without the filter of life and experience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's, you see yourself through all your traumatic events and the life that you lived and the scars that you have and the story you tell yourself. But your friends, we don't write the book. Aren't the ones that pen the paper and the sweat and the blood and the tears. We just read it and we see it you're amazing. You can do all these things. And so at that moment, it wasn't well, you have to finish because you have to finish. It was, damn it, you deserve to finish. Like you might not believe it, and you might not think you deserve it, and you might think that just this is okay, and that's fine. But we're not doing this today. We're just not doing it today. And so we found her, and we had, I think, 2.5, 3 miles to go. And at that point, it was Iron Track was predicting like an after midnight finish, which would have been A, not before midnight, but B, would have also been past her regular 17-hour deadline. And so we just said, I just remember saying, I said, can you run? And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, we're going to try. And so we get her running and moving. And then, so in my mind, I'm trying to pull this like I'm trying to be Prefontaine and Rain Man at the same time. I'm thinking, all right, we can run some, we can walk some, but we can't walk a lot, but we got to walk some. We got to take it bit by bit. We got to run some, we got to make this. So I'm trying to do all these calculations in my head, which I'm terrible at anyway. And we just get moving. And we get moving, and we walk some, and we run some, and she's not talking a lot, but you know, you gotta be careful with what you say. And it was because, you know, it's just it's like it's just a super emotional, like super intense time, and I'm doing this, and you gotta be tread very, very lightly, but at some point. And I was texting with her yesterday, and I was like, you know, I just want to apologize for all the things I said on the race course. Because, like, you know, my athletes
I wish I had that on tape, man.
My athletes give me a hard time because, sometimes, because I'm not like super like lovey-dovey. You're the greatest athlete on the planet, and I'm also not super hard on them. But I'm not like that because when I do those things, I want them to matter. And I was hard. It was like more like a drill sergeant.
I was wondering because I was thinking the same exact stuff in my head as you said. I'm going out to find her. We were texting, and
I was texting a lot of people,
and I'm like, how do you handle that? You know, because at some point this might have been the one, and I'm sure this is what went through your mind. Is like, this might have to be a little hard talk here because
it was. There were some expletives thrown, But again, I think that's where two things. You have to have a relationship that's deep enough to where you know you can talk to them like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to know who she is. Because I had to tell her, like, specifically, I know you're used to doing things alone, but we ain't doing that today. We're going to do this together, whether we get there or not. We're doing it together, and we're not stopping. And so that's just little things like that I think are just so important when you think about the psyche and the mindset of athletes and who they are as people, because you can't always drive yourself with your athletic ability or your training or your fitness, because that's going to give in. That's going to fade away. One day it's not going to work for you. So all you're going to be left with is who you are. And as a coach, you have to know who they are so you can connect with them in the way that may be able to override what they're telling themselves or what their body is telling them that they can't do. And so we ran. And then I would tell her to walk. And we would walk, and then I'd think, all right, I think we can make it. So we did segments, like make it to the bridge, walk the tunnel, run again. We're doing this, and I'm thinking, you were texting me, and I'm like, you know, are you going to make it? I was like, I don't know. We just got to keep going. And then I remember when we hit mile 25, I think we had like 14 minutes to spare, and I'm thinking, oh shit, this is gonna be so close. And I didn't know this part of the course, and so like if you did it or you've done Ironman Texas, is like mile 25, like you like go on forever, like you're going away from the finish line to do this short little turnaround before you come back up towards it, so you can hear the cheers and you go away from it and you're thinking, all right, the turnaround's got to be around this corner. All right, it's got to be around this corner. It's definitely back after this tunnel. And you're just thinking, like, I don't know if like we do one more corner, I don't know if we're gonna make it. So not only are we running and doing this and pushing her and talking to her and kind of help her override her own thoughts and feelings and body, is we're also seeing other people like shoulder to shoulder with their athletes, like their friends and family, like, come on, bud, you got this. Like, I'm telling you, man, it's like, it's how life should be. Because like I remember one time seeing a woman who was surrounded by like 7 or 8 people. And if you're one of those people who are like, oh, but you can't have like on course, help, or like you shouldn't be, you know what? Shut your mouth and stop listening. It was this woman who was probably in her 50s or 60s she was surrounded by her entire family. Like it looked like, with grandkids and kids, and they were walking like around her in a bubble. They weren't pushing her. They weren't shoving her forward. They weren't pacing her. They were physically, emotionally, and mentally supporting her by being in contact with her in an intimate and energizing way to let her know, and this is the most important part, you can do this and you're not alone. And I think that there's just so much, I'm getting like choked up thinking about it. There's like so many things in our lives that I think as people that we could, that's so many times what you need to hear. Like, you're not alone. And I'm willing to be out here with you in the darkness with nobody else around, and we don't even know if we're going to make it. Because everybody wants to come around and cheer and run with the I'm going to make it, and we know we got this. Like the fair weather bandwagon friends and fans are like, I'm only going to hang on for the good shit. But they're all out there. And we saw like 7 or 8 like groups like this that are just like, I don't know if you're going to make it. I hope you do. Because at this point, the level of investment is like, it's more than all in. You're all going to either be totally elated or you're all going to be maybe devastated. But that's just so much life too, is like you need people around you just to like, hey, you're not alone and I'm here with you. And when things get rough, I got your back. And I can't do it for you, but I can be here with you. And we saw so many people like that. And then we got to a point to where she was running and running and running. She was passing people. And that had to have been energizing. I was like, see, we're about to pass some people. And so we're working it. Then we got to, my iron track went off and we hit the 25.5 mile marker, click, which was the last split in iron track. And which gave us 0.6 to go. And we had 8 minutes. And that was the first time where I kind of looked over at her and I said, you got 8 minutes to make it 0.6 miles. Which, you're doing your math, you're like, I think we can do this. But you also don't know with iron track, are the mile splits accurate?
Right.
Because again, like that's if you're a family member or even a spectator or racer, like you have to remember that sometimes when you see these like gigantic anomalies in iron track, it's not necessarily that your person got faster or slower. It's probably just the fact that iron track split says it's 2.5 miles, but in reality it was only 2 miles, so they look faster. Or in the inverse, it said they just went 2 miles between mile marker 14 and 16, but it was actually 2.5 miles, so they look slower. So you just never know. You're just kind of at the mercy. But I knew at that point we had a shot, and that was kind of when you pull the trigger of you're not walking again. I don't care. I don't know. No matter what, you're not walking again. And so we're all running together, and then I think I was yelling a lot. And we run up and we get basically to where we can no longer like be anywhere close to her. And we had 2.5 minutes left. I pulled up my phone and I saw 16:57:30. And I was like, all right, she's got 2.5 to do it on her own. And then you just left and you stop. And I thought actually, and then I got like almost like had a panic attack because they go in like the finishing chute, and then instead of turning left to go to the finish, they make them go right, like down this, like I talked about in the podcast on Monday. They make them go right, and they have to do this little U-turn to go up a hill. And so you see them, you actually see them. Like, I think you mentioned like you see in Mike Riley like trying to peek over the hilltop, or not hilltop, but trying to peek over to see who's next.
Right. Yeah.
And so you see him run down, and then they vanish. And so I'm like, I don't know how much longer it is. Like, what if it's like another quarter mile? Like, we're screwed.
Yep.
And then she turns the corner, and I kind of see her visor and her little hairdo, whatever, coming up over the top of this bump. And like, I think Summer got a really good video of her. Like, Mike Riley's like in her face. Mm-hmm. And dude, the energy at like 10 till midnight is just. It's like something that goes inside of you that you're never going to get rid of. It's just like, you've been there. You were at Wisconsin this last year. It's just like the energy is just incredible, and everybody is your fan, and nobody's. And again, it's just like life. It's like how life should be. Like everyone's cheering for everyone. Like nobody cares what time it was. They just want you to get it done, and so everyone's going like just insane berserk. And then finally look over the corner, and there she is, popping her head up, and then seeing her run by. I remember looked at my clock, and then finally I knew she was going to make it, and crossed the finish line, I think, with minute 20 to spare. And not gonna lie, I just like burst into tears.
Man.
I was just like totally. I burst into tears before that. It was just like you just couldn't control it. Like I don't know how to describe it, man. It was like, like Summer had like left. She was going to get video of like her actual finish, and I walked over to her, and she looked like she had been watching like a Lifetime movie for like 7 years.
Oh man,
she was like red and eyes were puffy, and I think I even had some like athletes at work could like text me, and they were like, "I'm just like finished," but it was, I don't know, man. It's just like this is how it's supposed to be, and like. It's like it just takes a village. Like you got to be there for people, and at that point it wasn't. I wanted that experience for her, whether that's selfish or not, I don't know, and I didn't care about like her technically DNFing. Like that doesn't bother. It didn't bother me for me. I just knew that because listen, I think that's so much part of life too. Like with the people that we love and the people that we care about is. Like, the people deserve better. Like, we all have people that we love, and our family members, even our spouses. Like you deserve better than this. Like, I can't believe this has happened to you. You're such a great person. I can't believe you've been through this. You deserve better. And so as a coach, that's so oftentimes what we see and what we feel. As you deserve better than this. Then you. It's not that you deserve better than this athletic achievement of. People wanting to nitpick whether you were a finisher or not a finisher, because who cares? But what you do deserve is you deserve a better thought process. You deserve I can set higher goals for myself because I can achieve them. You can, because we all struggle with that. Like we can achieve it, but then we need somebody else to tell us that we can and believe in us that we can. And again, that's like, it's 100% the most underrated and under talked about and aspect of having the ability to have a coach is you're never alone.
Yep.
You have people that are there, that are with you, that believe in you, that don't take your thought process the way you take it. They might tell you, no, we ain't doing this. Like, I know you think this way and you think this way for a reason. I understand that because I know you, but things don't have to be this way. And so it was more of a selfish thought and feeling of, this wasn't about you not making it. It was about you not seeing you the way you see yourself normally.
Yeah.
And doing whatever I could to make you like drill it into your skull and as best I could. And so we always talk about like racing and training is all about it's the greatest journey of self exploration you can have, and that's why it was so fun and like special to be a part of. It reminded me of way back when you did your race 6 years ago, and I ended up doing kind of the same thing with this older gentleman who you probably remember his name, but
there's a blog, I should look that up.
Yeah, it's old school blog. But the same thing. He was like walking like in the shape of an L. Yeah. He was like bent over. And I had the same experience. I mean, I got teary-eyed too when he like went off in the distance and you knew he was going to finish, because you get a glimpse and a feeling of like just momentarily being a part of like something really, really, really special that has nothing to do with Ironman triathlon, like the athletic sense. It just has to do with like incredible physical, emotional, and mental accomplishment that is built upon just resiliency and just not just you refusing to give up, but a lot of times just people that you care about saying, all right, you might be second guessing this, you might be in pain, but together we don't have to give up, and I'm not giving up, so I don't really give a shit if you are, because we're not doing this right now. And I just think we all need that, and so it was a cool experience. It was special, not in that it was a made it by 80 seconds special. It was more of just that experience of hands-on, mentally and emotionally supporting someone through a barrier in which they previously hadn't worked through yet.
Yeah.
And that's always something cool.
We always talk about kind of drilling down to different levels of triathlon and understanding. Once you kind of figure something out, there's a whole nother world out there to figure out. And as we talk about, if you haven't been to the finish line at midnight and seen the energy of that, that's like something that you might not understand about this sport, and what, just to be able to experience that. But what you just described is a whole nother layer of going out to 2-3 miles in the darkness when people are on the edge of whether or not they're going to finish, and being with those people. That's like a totally different experience, and something that's even probably more powerful and meaningful, like as you just described. Now, and what you're saying, about, people deserving more than they might think, or whatever that kind of theory is, I saw a t-shirt the other day that says, "You're probably doing better than you think." And I just thought that was the coolest thing, because we get into this sport, and I think a lot of us have a tendency to sort of be isolated in like how you described her, sort of doing things ourselves and powering through and all that sort of thing. But what happens is in those cycles is, self-talk is powerful, and it's real easy to let the negative self-chatter get into your brain. And I'm not saying specifically in this instance, but just in general. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along that's a friend of yours, and you're going, "Man, I don't know, I'm struggling. I don't really, I can't get anything right," whatever the case may be. And then they go, "Well, what are you talking about? That's not you at all. Look at all this stuff you've done. You've done this. And they paint a whole different picture of you than you see from yourself. And it's those dips and those cycles that we can get into when we try to figure stuff out on our own, and we start looking inside, and it's all of a sudden it starts leaning negative. But you're right, man. It's like people can come to the rescue, literally and metaphorically, and change the way you look at life and the way you look at yourself, if you let it. And this example is this story is just so great on so many levels, and we love her, and it was just so, I don't know, it was just amazing to see her come through, because finally I was watching, and I saw her go through the finish line, and I didn't know this backstory of what you exactly had went through, but I kind of had an idea.
Oh, I had it made compared to everyone else that had stayed up waiting for Iron Track to click over. Those last 0.7 miles, because I knew, and I was there, and to an extent I knew, a couple minutes before.
That's a good point, because their estimate had that long, that between splits, her final estimate was like 12:01. 12 minutes or 12 hours and one, or whatever, at 12 o'clock and 1 second. And I was just like, oh, like 1 second is the difference right now. It's like they were estimating that she would just come in just over, I guess, 17 hours and 1 second or whatever in my mind, but I didn't realize she started early. So there's all these weird elements you just don't know. And like you're saying,
it was way behind, because she actually ended up finishing at 11:51, and so even I don't know if they were going by the 17-hour thing, but it was because her last two splits were her fastest besides the first one for the whole day.
Yeah.
And so it was always off. But as much as again, like I was saying, like that's why it's important to know your athletes and know stuff. But it was also like a big F you to all the people that I know that are like, you can't do this, or aren't supportive, or because I think all athletes have somebody that they know, or a friend, or even sometimes, unfortunately, like a family member that's just not supportive of what they do. that probably would have like enjoyed not enjoyed, but well, yeah, probably would have enjoyed the fact that it wasn't accomplished and that they proved themselves right. And I also thought about that. I know that this athlete probably didn't, but I did because I knew it, and I was like, "No, man, we ain't doing this today." And so it was. It was definitely mentally and emotionally and physically exhausting. But hey, I remember her looking back, and I think she ran with her eyes closed like almost the entire time. And I do get, and this might be an overshare, but she ain't gonna care. But she actually peed while running. Didn't even break stride. It was incredibly impressive. And I think we kind of needed a lighter moment at the time. But I don't know if she's like, we don't have time for this, but I was like, we ain't got time for a potty stop. And it was incredibly impressive. Like, didn't even break stride. Like running like 12-minute miles. I can't even like sometimes pee just regular.
What does that mean?
I mean, just like you wake up sometimes, your engine's cold.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But no, I think it's something that I'll always, definitely always remember, but also just reminds like that the battle isn't at the finish line. From like 9:30 to 10 to midnight, I know the finish line is more fun. But I can't encourage. I know I'll think of this personally. Like, you'll do a lot more good walking out and finding a person who's just alone, whose family isn't around, who doesn't have any friends, or might be even at this race alone.
Yeah. Oh man, when you just said that, I just went through my brain. Is like, oh, there are people that just go to races alone,
and like they have nobody. Or their friends or family are too old, they can't come out, they have kids, and like if you're willing and you're able and you got it, like go find these people, and I'll be honest, like I had never thought of that, until you just went through it, personally, and it just like your energy and especially if you're an athlete that's finished one and had this experience and you know what it's like, and it's like go find these people and be that voice that can run interference on whatever other voice they're hearing. And it probably help more people than you think, and you might get more out of it than the person you find. And again, that's what makes the sport so special and so cool if you want it to be. People always say it's an isolating, selfish sport, but it can be everything but that. And you can connect with people and support people and literally walk side by side with them in these experiences and these journeys if you're willing to put in the time and effort too, or willing to accept it in general. And so I think it's why this sport is so incredible, and you can learn so many things. And again, it's also why you and I don't talk about the performance management chart and watts and paces and scientific theory every single podcast, because that's just such a small part of it. And it's a part of it, but it's not the part that you're going to remember. It's not the part that you're going to tell your kids, and it's not the part that you're going to share stories about. It's just there's the amount of stories that unfold and then that are told over post-race dinner and meals and next day. Like, think of how many stories are told and now shared after like 2,400 people raced. I don't know how many finished, but that many people raced. Like, how many stories there are, and how those are going to impact these people and their connections and their personality and how they see themselves and how they and what they do going forward, with the next race. And it's why it's so cool and so fun. And don't get me wrong, it is an insanely long day, and it is so tough. I know it's I'm telling you, it's tougher than racing. To just sit and watch and get emotionally and mentally invested with absolutely no control is the other part that I think is why I think it makes it so difficult. Sometimes you're just left guessing and wondering and hoping and thinking and but again, it's the reason the sport can be so great and so connective with so many people.
Yeah, it's it's so much deeper, man. I don't know. It's just an interesting topic, and I agree with what you're saying. Is like the bottom line of what we're doing is, I think, just is sharing stories about this kind of thing, because that really is what it's all about. And I mean, I've been there. The first Ironman I ever went and watched was a friend of ours back in the day, Kevin. He was like the last guy off the bike, and the whole marathon thing was like, it's like, I remember thinking about this, sending someone out on the second loop into darkness when you got 13 miles, and what that feels like, what that must feel like. And then the whole time you're kind of under the gun whether or not you're going to finish. And then, just what that did to the people I was with, and how it kind of galvanized our friendship. It's sort of like these mini stories that you're always going to have in common. And I think it just builds a bond, and there's deeper friendships. And, I know when he was out there, he kind of connected with a guy that was not going to he kind of lifted that guy, and they started doing this kind of walk run pattern, and he saved their race. So you make friends on the course that are, that last forever. It's not this, it's just a different sort of bond, I think. And and those kind of things happen continually in the sport, whether it's through training or racing or whatever. And that to me is the real aspect, because the sport isn't life. It's just part of it, and it's sort of a vehicle for making it a richer experience in general.
I totally agree with you.
And you just had a rich one, man.
It was super rich. And yeah, it was this very cool experience. And yeah, there were a lot of other people out there having that same experience, which is also cool. Remember very vividly a couple of people that we passed, and like the lady I was talking about, surrounded by like her family and friends. And I remember as we were waiting before we even went out there to find this athlete, that I remember we asked this other girl, I was like, so who are you? It's like, and I remember you had this like iconic picture, or for us at least, of that little girl who was holding that sign waiting her mom to come in off the bike in Louisville.
Yeah.
And I just think that like we so many times like in life get swept up thinking everybody's okay, or just because I'm doing great, everybody else is too. And we just kind of forget that, like, there's just so many other things going on, and so many, it's that walk a mile in their shoes thing, and it's just different for everyone. And that's why it's always, I think, so good to be so positive and so supportive and so appreciative of the people you get to meet, and then the ability of an opportunity, and the opportunities that you might have to make an impact if you're just paying attention, to give people high fives and to give people encouraging words, because some people are afraid to say things, and it's like I think it's so underrated what you think just the smallest like high five or cheer can be to somebody on a race course.
Yeah.
It takes you nothing. It takes you nothing, because you're just standing there kicking it. Like, you got nothing else better to do but stand there on your feet and count how many steps you walk today. But just a little high five, or hey, God, you looking good, buddy, to maybe totally change a thought pattern, or be just what that person needs. And we just like, and that's how we are in life too. Like a simple hello, or a hold the door, or a hey man, how you doing? Like it all matters. And
dude,
I just
you just really hit a hot button for me.
No,
I mean, it's just so true. It's like, sometimes you're out run. Like I was out running yesterday, and it's just the degree of, I feel like I'm on a long run, and I just want to say hi to somebody, right? You just run by them on the greenway, and they're just looking down at their phone or whatever. And it's just like, come on, man, get in the program. I mean, I need that hello right now. You're depriving me of
yeah, I'm not helloing for you, I'm helloing for me, so like give me some kind of a connection.
Yeah,
but
hello, acknowledgement. Good job.
They're worried about their next trying to make their brand on Instagram with the shoe shot. But yeah, it's just about, there's so many opportunities out there, and take one, enjoy it, be kind to people, stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, as Bukowski says, you change the world one person at a time.
Amen.
All right. Well, thanks for checking in, everybody. Check us out at crushingiron.com. All things that we got going on there. And we'll be catching up with you on Monday to probably take a look inside of our camp, our first camp, C26 Triathlon Camp of the Year here in Nashville. I'm looking forward to seeing awesome people.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about people, man. Family, community. We're going to have it going this week.
That's right.
All right, buddy. Well, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. See you, dude.
All right.